Okay, everybody, I think you can hear me now. We have got Sean, the CEO of OrbisX here with me. I think we've got about 30 to 31, 32, 30, between 30 and 35 people on here right now. And I'm sure that certain people are going to filter through here. But just before we start anything, as always, will you guys go ahead and send a 1 in the chat box in the question area if you can hear me? And if you can see the screen here, will you put a 2 as well? So you can just 1s and 2s if you can see. Yeah, okay, great. So yep, it looks like everybody's saying 1s and 2s. Okay, great. So if you, some people, or one guy, Devin, you said it sounds a little choppy. That might just be your own internet connection. So I would look at that. But it looks like everybody is looking good. So guys, I've got Sean on here with me. You're listening to my voice, but you're looking at Sean's screen. And Sean is about to interrupt me here, and he's going to take it from here. But just so you guys know, he is going to be walking through basically what tonight is kind of the high order bit of OrbisX. And really the goal tonight is not to go crazy deep on any one particular thing so you just become a whiz at the finance section or the lead section, but really Sean is going to walk through exactly what each section is. He's going to walk through exactly kind of how to picture and conceptualize it in your head. We start with the calendar page, we move to this, this, and this. Here's why. So you're going to get a better overall understanding of how the system is built and the why behind that. And he's just going to define some of these tabs for you. So you're getting it straight from the horse's mouth here because, again, Sean is the guy who actually created this and continues to create it and update it. So this is going to be recorded. This is going to be posted in the program afterwards, and it's going to be one of a 3-part series where we're also going to do questions at the end. So you guys are going to have questions. Please hold the questions until the end. We are probably not going to take up the full hour. So as you have questions, write them down, and then we'll do 10-ish minutes of questions at the end to make sure that you guys get those questions answered that you have. I will stop talking. Sean, you can go ahead and take it away, my friend.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Luke. Great introduction. Welcome, everybody. So I am Sean Gervais. I'm the CEO and founder of OrbisX, and this software came to light actually because I as well, I'm a detailer as well. I have a shop. We've got 8 full-time guys right now, and then we have 4 part-time. We do detailing, tinting, PPF, wraps, remote starter installs, a bunch of stuff. The need arose that we had to streamline and optimize the business side of things. It's one thing, okay, great, we were detailing, we were producing high quality work, but we wanted to scale this thing up and we wanted to transform it into a real business. And so my shop is just under 2 years old. We've got 550 plus 5-star reviews in that time frame. And a lot of that success is, we went from, it was my wife and myself working at the shop, and now we've got the 8 full-time guys and 4 part-time. And that all happened during COVID as well. And our success is all attributed to the systems and processes that we put in place. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown of OrbisX because OrbisX was built to help streamline a detailing business, to help you, sell more detailing jobs, upsell your products, cross-sell your products, and keep in touch with your customers so that you can keep doing what you're doing, which is running the business. So without getting too much into my personal origin story, I can, answer that more in later webinars. I'll touch base on some stuff. So to start with, OrbisX, if you think of it as a system it's a series of systems rather that's going to help streamline different categories and parts of your business. And one difference between this software and other softwares that are out there is this is designed to be an all-in-one solution. And it's also designed to be a solution that takes different processes and workflows and mixes them together without one specific workflow. Now, what I mean by that is, in this instance, for example, you can go straight to creating a calendar event, for example. So I could, click on my calendar, and then I could click just add event. And then from there, I would actually be able to add a client in without having to, create a lead or without having to, do other things first. So right from this page, I would be able to, add a customer right on this page, for example, like add new client, put them in quickly without having to, send an estimate or all these other things first. But then let's say I've created that customer and I want to send an estimate, you can go back and do that as well through finances and estimates. So it's very flexible. And the reason I mention that in particular as a starting point is that every one of your businesses is going to be unique. So my detailing shop, it's doing really well in what we're doing, in the processes that we've set up. We upsell customers when they come in. We call every customer as much as possible personally, upsell them on the phone. We have a very, very refined sales process. Your business might operate a little differently. Maybe you don't like being on the phone and you just handle everything by email. Well, that's fine. And maybe you always send an estimate first, or you have to get signatures on invoices, or you have to get a signature at the end of an invoice, or it goes to insurance companies first. There's so many different scenarios that are out there, and OrbisX is capable of handling them all. So there's no rigid workflow. And that's where Luke and I discussed that we're going to have these different webinars to go over things so that you can get a real bird's eye view, in-depth perspective on how this can benefit your business and how you can tailor things for your specific workflow.
And
So I'm not
Sean,
going to
I'm
go
going
over.
to
Yep,
interrupt you rudely here
please
a
do.
couple times tonight. So
Not a problem.
everybody, yeah, just know I'm going to interrupt Sean to clarify things to make sure that it becomes really clear. So to be clear, really the calendar is kind of the opening screen, or like the home screen. If you were thinking of it like a computer, your calendar is kind of your home screen. It's also the first option up there at the top left of that top left of your tabs, because your calendar as a detailer is your home screen. Your schedule is what everything
Absolutely.
revolves around. So that ends up making a lot of sense, especially when you're comparing it to other softwares. And what you're saying is, you're highlighting these things where you say you don't have to first create an estimate, you don't have to first create, this. The reason he's saying that is because there are these other softwares out there that you and I, or maybe you guys haven't, but I've used pretty much all of them, and they all have kind of a very straightforward way of doing things, in that there's one way to do it. And what Sean is trying to point out here is that you can basically do whatever you want, but it's all very intuitive based on the way a detailer operates. So I can come into my calendar, and rather than like having to create an estimate to create a customer, because the software says, well, you're not going to be creating an estimate unless you create a customer first anyways, I can do an estimate by itself. I can do a customer by itself. I can click into the calendar, create the customer from there without creating the estimate. So I can just do what I need to do based around the central homepage of a detailer, which is the calendar. So that ends up making a lot of like intuitive sense. So anyway, go ahead.
Absolutely. Thanks, Luke. And great points. Absolutely. Because your calendar really is your business. And the reason, that's the home screen kind of thing. There is a dashboard, of course, but, that'll show your stats, things like that. But your calendar is really, those are the jobs that are going on in your shop. Those are the past jobs, the future jobs. And most importantly is the finances as well. So as you'll see on the calendar, it does show the number of jobs you have in a day. It also separates the mobile jobs. So if you have a shop, but you also have a mobile unit, it'll show both of those. If you're mobile only, then those will be set to all mobile, so on and so forth. But it really separates things and gives you a bird's eye perspective. Now, some people do prefer a day view or a week view, and you do have those options as well. I'll go over those briefly in a second. But the biggest thing is the reason it defaults to the month view. Really, you need to start looking at your business in not terms of what's happening specifically today, but what does it look like ongoing in the future? And most importantly, what do the finances look like for that? So that's why this calendar incorporates a lot of financial data as well. So you can actually set your daily goal, and that will then compute based on the number of days that you're open and make your monthly goal as well. So when you hit your monthly goal, it'll highlight it in green, as you can see here. And then days where you haven't hit your goal, it's grayed out, like you can see on these days here. This is useful when you're booking jobs and you're trying to figure out where should I place somebody. Of course, you want the convenience of working with the customer schedule, but at the same time, you're the one steering the ship, so you're in control where you can suggest days that you want to book up based on what your schedule looks like. So at a bird's eye view, you can see this and you can say, oh, geez, I need to book up more jobs for the 15th. So you can try and book them in there. You click on the 15th and you can see what jobs you have for that particular day. And now these ones are all marked complete because this is in the past here. But you're able to see where you can sort of schedule things, and that's going to help your shop run a lot more efficiently. And it's also going to make sure that the quality of work you produce is higher end, because you're going to put it on days where you're not, jam packed, you're not overbooking, and you're not saying, oh, geez, I thought I had more time in a day, so on and so forth. And as you scale your business and grow, and you start hiring people to work with you, or people to book jobs for you, they can then go and they'll be able to see at a glance where they should be filling those gaps for you, right? So
And
that's
this
why the
is
calendar.
interesting. this is
Go
interesting
ahead.
because generally speaking, the only metric that any detailer is going to be using to determine when they want to plan on, or I'm sorry, schedule somebody in, the only thing they're really thinking of is open times. So this calendar
Yes.
incorporates all these different perspectives from not just open times, which is what every calendar does, but this is actually
Mm,
giving you a view of what the financials day to day look like. So you have this whole other metric being used as you're deciding what you're scheduling. So this becomes really interesting over time, as I'm sure Sean would attest to, as you're looking back and as you're
absolutely.
looking into the future. You're literally breaking down, you're being taught to break down your business by numbers on a daily basis. And that ends up being where you get this, again, this exponential growth and kind of streamlined nature to everything. So anyway, go ahead.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, you hit the nail on the head. And that's where what we do at our shop is we change our daily goal as the business grows. So initially, we had goals. I remember way back when we first started, I couldn't even imagine. I was like, geez, I hope it was just my wife and I working at the shop. And we were like, geez, it would be awesome if we could have a $5,000 month. And then next thing you know, we started hitting that number consistently and exceeding it. So we changed our daily goal and we were like, geez, it'd be nice if we had a $20,000 month. And then we started having six-figure months, and I was like, geez, now what? And so we started focusing a lot more on the upsell side. And we would look at a day and say, okay, we want to have, $3,000 days. So we would look at a day like this where it's, 1393, and we'd be like, okay, what can we do on that day to upsell more things? And so that's where my staff now, they'll look at days that are coming up and they'll click on it and they'll go through the customer and they'll say, okay, let me call this customer here. They're coming in for a tinting, or this one here for a detailing, and let me see what they're booked for. So they'll click on it and say, okay, they're booked for such and such. Well, this one here, dealer clean. This is just a demo account, so it's random stuff. But I would say, this person's coming in for XYZ. Let me call them and say, hey, listen, we see you're coming in this Thursday for whatever, or this Wednesday. We have a great promo on right now, and I don't want you to miss it. We can add the following two things to your package. We just had another customer in the same situation, and we were able to save them, $340 and protect their investment with a new ceramic coating or whatever the case may be. And we'll try and get those numbers increased because that's how you're going to really grow your business is, by bringing in more customers, getting more referrals, but also increasing the ticket size of each sale. And so that's where things like this kind of a calendar outlook can really help you achieve those goals. And that's why the calendar is such a crucial part of this entire system, is because this is what your whole business focuses around, right? So the calendar is, if not the most important part of this entire process. Now, that being said, one thing I want to touch on with the calendar as well, because you might be thinking, well, geez, I don't have time to call all these people and do all of this. That's where this calendar actually integrates with artificial intelligence that'll reach out to your past customers. It'll scan ahead in the future and determine, let's say, the 22nd, there's no jobs there. Well, the system's going to realize, geez, that's abnormal for your business. You should have at least, 3, 4, 5 jobs based on the average that you're closing. And it's going to reach out to past customers based on criteria that you set, and it's going to book new appointments for you. And it's going to do that in two ways. You can have it where it's fully automated and it sends them a link to book online. It suggests different days. It'll say, in this example, it'll reach out to someone that maybe they always come on a Wednesday or they always came in for a certain detailing package. And it'll say, hey, we have an opening on the 22nd and on the 23rd. Which day is best? And then that way it's not a do you want a detailing question, it's which day is best. So it's designed to be a marketing sales engine where it's presenting not just a yes or no question, but a either or. So they're going to choose one. But you can also just have them call the shop or call your direct line if you're a mobile detailer, whatever you prefer. You can customize those messages, and that's all done under the marketing tab. There's a lot of different options here for different marketing sections. My favorite one though is the AI booking rules. I'll go over that real quick before we dive into all the other stuff because it pertains to the calendar. So here you can create rules. So at our shop, for example, we do detailing, tinting, bunch of things, but maybe you do detailing and ceramic coating, let's say. So you can have the system reach out to anyone that came in for detailing and their last appointment was, let's say, 6 months ago, and you wanted to only suggest certain days because let's say at your shop you're always busy on Wednesdays and Tuesdays. So you don't want the system to suggest those days. So you can specify very clearly, only suggest these following days because I know I'm always booked up on these days. So the system's going to assess your business, figure out what the best day is that it can pitch these customers to come in for an appointment, but you can give it some limitations to exclude things and customize it to your particular situation. Then
And let me ask you this,
jump
Sean,
in.
because I'm thinking in terms of, so let's say that some of these guys are just beginning, and let's say they're just getting started and getting business in the door, kind of just as a first step right now.
Okay.
Can they, something more practical for them, would they be able to create a rule that basically says, reach out to this customer after 90 days with this particular message?
100%. Absolutely. And so in that case, for example, using that example, let's say detailing, they came in for detailing and they came 3 months ago, right? So 90 days. And then we'll just leave that to suggest any day that's available. And that'll be based on the AI. It's going to determine, because it doesn't want, if it scans and it's like, geez, this day, for example, that it found is abnormally busy, it's not going to reach out and pitch that to customers because it can't book that day anyways, right? It doesn't want to put you in a situation where you're stuck. So it'll scan and take a look at your calendar and figure out what the best day is. So you could say like 3 months ago, it might not be on exactly 3 months. It might be like 3 months and 2 days or 3 days, because depending on what's going on in your business at that moment, the AI is going to determine whether or not you need this additional assistance for bookings, right? Like if let's say you just put out a promo on Facebook and you're slammed, you don't have to worry that the AI is not, it's going to look at your calendar and it's going to say, geez, you're really busy these next 2 weeks. We're not going to overload you with this extra business, right? So
Okay,
it'll
got it.
it'll look a little further ahead. Yeah, go
Right,
ahead.
right, right, right. Totally makes sense. What I'm thinking is along the lines of there are certain things in the program that these guys are going to get to if they're not already, certain follow-up techniques. And so this particular
Perfect.
area of the Orbis X system is going to integrate really well with that, because you're going to be able to take these quote unquote rules of following up that are taught in the program, and you're going to be able to create these rules with those scripts in this particular part of
Exactly.
the software, so you actually don't even have to think about the following up. So this is really cool.
Absolutely. And then you can customize each message as well. And you could do this several times. You could say, let's say, how do you want to fill your calendar? Days with less than 3 appointments, less than five, less than 10, or just any day that it finds available. And you can customize the message as well, right? And you can do that on a, per service basis as well. So maybe there's a different message that goes out for detailing versus, ceramic coating, or if someone does even headlight restoration. At our shop, for example, we recommend that people come in every 6 months, at the very least every 12 months, to get a touch up on their headlight restoration, and we usually offer them a discounted rate on that. It's mostly just a way for us to get them thinking about our business again, coming back into the shop. So we send them something. Sometimes we'll set a rule like this and it'll just be like, let's say they came in for a headlight restoration. Well, we want them to think about getting their car detailed with us. So we'll send them something after, let's say, 3 months, and we'll just be like, hey, listen, we can offer you 25% off on a detailing package. Give us a call. And so we'll put that in as the message here, and it'll look for anyone that came in for headlight restoration 3 months ago and send them that kind of a sales pitch, right? So you can get really creative with it, and you can really follow that process that's in the course, and you can say, this is what I'm going to set up for my follow-ups, and then you can add your own flair to that as well, depending on what you want to push at different times of the year. And the coolest part is you can always come in and just create a new one, and you can delete a rule, so you can see your existing rules that you have set up. You can see the days suggested, the time ago, the message that gets sent out, and you can either edit those or delete those at any time. So at our shop, we'll have these kind of in rotation, where we have our core messages and rules that go out, but then we'll have some that we go in and we put in the system, whenever, okay, springtime's coming, we're busy, so we're not going to pump up business too much more than we can handle. But maybe during the winter time, where things slow down a little bit more here, like we usually see a drop of about 10 to 12% in our business. So what we do is we just counteract that, and we'll do things like set up new rules that'll help pump up more business. So you can create these at will anytime, and the AI is going to just take over and close more deals for you. So
And
it's
Sean,
crucial.
will you explain how to basically put in the detailing information, customer information, time of day, what you're charging those people into the calendar. Because I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm in the calendar. I get what the calendar does. I get how to, look at the day, week. Okay, I understand how to do the rules to follow up with my customers. How do I actually put in and keep track of the customer information, keep track of what I did, keep track of what I
Sure.
charged them, just some of that basic stuff.
Absolutely. And that's the next crucial part, I'd say. After you have your calendar, you're looking at your info, but how do you actually put the info there? Absolutely. So very, very easy. At our shop, we always start with leads. Whenever we're talking to someone, we always put them in as a lead. So I'll just show, view leads. And the reason we do this, we can click add lead. We start with a lead because it impacts our stats. And then whenever you put in the leads information, you can save notes and things like that. Here, let me pull up a lead that's already in there just as an example, so we can see. I think this might be me. It says Sean. We'll see. So test mail, yeah, that's me. So we always put in our leads first because you can save a lot of things in here. So for example, journal and sales notes, I could say, like Sean called and left a voicemail, right? So you can put in different notes that are going to save in there. And then, so I can see here, Sean called, left a voicemail. I can see when that was left, and it creates an ongoing sort of record of my communication with that customer. You can put in notes, their vehicle, how much the lead is worth. So you could say, this guy's interested in like ceramic coating, and we're charging $1,000 for that. So I can put in different things, what they're interested in. So ceramic coating. So this is where you can kind of keep track of all your leads. They're not customers yet, but they're on their way to becoming customers as we massage that relationship. Now, this is important because you can automatically follow up with your leads as well to try and coach them along and say, hey, listen, are you still interested in that ceramic coating? I have a great deal for you if you give me a call. And all of that can be automated as well to help convert them into a customer. So we at our shop always start with leads, but because the system's flexible, you could just jump right into clients if you want and save
And I,
everybody
I
as a
want to
client.
say that this lead area is something that additionally sets apart the guys in this program, because one of the things we talk about in the program is that, some of these things that are really obvious business 101 concepts in a lot of other industries, in many ways, the detailing industry and mobile detailers, stationary detailers lag 10 years behind all of these other really just modern ways of doing things. Well, in every other business, you're going to be dealing with leads. You're going to be dealing with people who are interested but not buyers. But in the detailing industry, once again, like, this is just another concept that isn't talked about and isn't, there's nothing really robust that helps people deal with this area. So building out, just like we talk about building out a healthy list of maintenance clients, building out a really healthy lead list and creating these lead magnets that put leads on the list. Like, this is something, once again, that just automatically separates your business as a detailing business, because not because it's anything super special, but because no one else is doing it in the space.
Yep, absolutely, 100%. And that's where you have here your lead status, and you can keep track. Are they a hot lead, warm lead, cold lead? Did you lose the sale or did you win the sale, right? And all of that, I pulled up the dashboard in another window here. All of that goes into your lead summary here, your lead and prospect statistics. So you can see in the last 30 days, this quarter, and this year, how many leads in total, how many deals you won, how many you lost, and it'll compare that to your previous stats. And that's hugely important to know, like, okay, I'm closing 10 ceramic coating jobs, but how many did you lose? Because that's also important. It's just as important a metric to know how much business you're losing or how much business you're not closing, that if you increase that closing ratio, you'd actually be able to triple or 10 times even your business. So that's where it's hugely important, and that's why we separated leads and clients. Whereas a lot of other programs that are out there, it's simply clients. But not everybody's a client, not right away, that's for sure. And so it really does help to know where your leads are coming from. And that's where on your dashboard, as you can see here, you have tons of different stats on things. But one important one is like your sources summary. So it'll keep track as you add leads and clients, it'll keep track of where they're coming from. So like, Facebook ads, marketplace. So you can see, and then you can compare different years to see, how's my business doing and where am I getting most of my people from? Am I spending the same amount on Facebook as I am Google? Well, in this case, look, my Facebook ads are at 8.5% and my Google ads are at 14. So if I'm spending the same amount, I'm actually getting a better return from my Google ads. And that all comes from me putting in my leads, closing the deals that I get, and marking them as a one lead. because when you save a lead, you're actually creating a client as well. You don't have to duplicate the work. All you have to do is go into your lead status, select one sale, and then if I select save, it's going to congratulate me because I'm awesome. So, and then, oh, it didn't congratulate me in this time, I think because it was already won. But then I can go view client, and it already took all this information and ported it over, and it's saved that client, right? Oh, actually, I just realized they're getting a sneak peek at a new feature. This isn't available yet, but it's coming. So we're just finishing up the vehicle colors. So you'll actually be able to change this on the fly. So that's pretty cool. So a new feature that's coming out. I forgot it's in our demo account. So
Yet,
anyway,
yet
it'll
another bonus for the Detailing Profits Masterclass. You guys didn't even know you were
automate.
going to be seeing behind the curtain.
Yeah, exactly. I completely forgot about that one. So yeah, this is going to be launching, I think, Tuesday. We're just in the final stages because you will be able to change this as well for additional vehicles. So when you put in a new vehicle as well, you'll have a little box here where you can change the color and choose the color. It's not important for all jobs. Like if you're just doing a interior detail, obviously the color of the car is less important. But it is important if you want to follow up on that customer for, let's say, paint correction or something like that. There are instances where the color of the vehicle matters. So yeah, you guys got a little sneak peek there. but but yeah, so that's where putting in leads is hugely important for just your business overall. And as you can see, this one here, for example, this one doesn't have a name, and the reason being is this one actually came from our live chat as a test. You can see lead source live chat. For some reason, they don't pass over the customer's name through the live chat, but they do create it with if the customer puts in their name in the pre-chat form. So we integrate with things like, Talk To, so you can capture your leads automatically, have them brought in here. We integrate with Zapier as well. So if you're getting leads from your website forms, or maybe you have a MailChimp form somewhere people are signing up to, you can actually import your leads automatically into OrbisX as well. But definitely keeping track of your leads, hugely important. And part of the course you're going to see is that follow-ups obviously are massively important for your business, and you can follow up automatically with your leads. So I'll click on marketing and then follow up automation. And this is where you can create rules similar to the AI booking system. And you can choose a message, email subject, and you can say follow up after 1 day, 2 days, after 5 days of putting them in as a lead, follow up and say a message like, hey, just checking in. Are you still looking to have, and then that's where you can put in the variable for service, and it'll say, whatever the service they selected was, whether it's ceramic coating, detailing, headlight restoration, whatever you've put in the system. So that's where leads are hugely, hugely important for your business. It's definitely something the detailing industry, I agree, Luke, has been lagging behind in. And it's something that using software like this can really take your business to that next level. And all of this can be done on autopilot. So setting up these rules, it'll automatically follow up after a few days. At our shop, what we do is we set it up so 24 hours after putting them in, it'll follow up and it'll say just a checking in message. Hey, just checking in. Wanted to see if you were, looking to move forward on your, detailing, whatever the service variable is. Then 3 days later, we'll send them another follow up because we haven't closed them yet. So the system will follow up and it'll say, hey, give me a call. I've got an incredible deal on, whatever the service was. Just give me a shout or send me an email. I'm here to help, and I got a wicked deal for you. That piques their interest, gets them excited. So there's these kind of chains you can create. And then, we'll do the same thing at like 14 days, let's say. So we'll say like after 2 weeks, we'll follow up and say, hey, it's been a minute since we talked. I know you were really interested in the detailing service. Give me a shout, send me an email. I've got a great deal that's going to expire in 24 hours. Stuff like that. Give them a sense of urgency. So
Yeah.
all of this can be set up
The,
automated for you.
Right. Okay, so some of the things that Sean was talking about there, by the way, were, in case you missed it and it didn't make sense or you blanked out for a second when he was talking about like integrating with Mailchimp and Zapier. What he's saying, that's technical guy language for there are these other software systems out there that collect data, collect emails, collect contacts, and do different things. And this particular OrbisX software also integrates with those, assuming that that's something you move into in your business you already have. It's probably not something that you guys have right now, and probably not something that most people in the program have, at least yet. But Sean, two particular things that I'm thinking of right now. I don't think we've talked about yet. I think we went to leads and then we're moving to clients next, as far as
Yes.
inputting just basic customer information. And then after that, I wanted to know if you could also touch on automating reviews and how this particular software actually pretty much guarantees the positive reviews
The
coming in.
positive ones.
Yeah,
That's
so
my
I'll
favorite
leave
part.
that to you, but you can go ahead.
Absolutely perfect. Thanks, Luke, and thanks for clarifying the Zapier and Talk To thing. I sometimes I forget. I'm like, geez, I'm so experienced with it for my own shop. I forget that that might be new technology for some people. So thank you for
Totally,
touching on that too.
totally.
Um, So for clients, it's very simple, straightforward. You have all your clients in one place, so you can click view clients. Same thing for view leads. It works the exact same way. I'll show you. It's same interface. It just changes whether it's leads or clients, right? Now the cool thing with leads is that you can filter based on if they're hot leads. So if they're like someone new that you've been talking to, or if they're just warm or cold. Maybe a particular client you haven't been able to close them, you can move them into the cold leads. It's kind of like archiving somebody, so they're just kind of they didn't really seem too interested. I'll put them in the back burner, but they're still leads. They're still good sales that you could get. So you could filter them, click on cold leads, and then close those deals. Now clients, it's very similar to the leads profile page as well. So I'll click on Aaron here. We have a little test client. Perfect. So we got this one set up. At first glance, it keeps everything in one place. So there's some quick buttons. You can, create a new appointment, new invoice, estimate, expense, and you can also view the message history between you and this particular client. And then similarly, there's a more thing here as well where you can do different actions as well. Then you have your P&L, which is huge. You got to know what your profit and loss is for each client. Are you actually making money off this client and how much? Then you can see what's owing, if there's any no-shows for this client. So if you want to book this guy in, you click on his profile and you say, geez, he's got 2 no-shows. So maybe this guy, I really push a higher deposit or something like that so that I can make sure that, hey, he's actually going to show up for his job. It's just a quick glance of the overall history of that client. You can see where they came from. So this one came from the website. You can see their primary make and model of their vehicle, important contact details, and referral source. So if you have referral partners that you're working with, and like maybe there's a real estate agent and they send you sources, you can set that here, and this will actually award them if you want with particular things. You can say like every 20 referrals this guy gets a gas card or something like that, right? So there's different stuff you can see there, but this is the snapshot at a glance of a particular client. Then you have this whole list of other things that you can, view for that particular client. If you've enabled loyalty cards, for example, so every 5th visit, they're going to receive a free exterior wash. So you'll be able to mark off their visits there as well as they come in. And then that'll be automated. By the time he hits 5, he'll automatically get this free wash emailed to him with a thank you and so on and so forth. You can see the SMS chat between you and the customer. You can also send them a message. There's things like if they have warranties, if you have multiple staff, you can assign them to clients so they can view their particular client list, save credit cards, view their estimates, files and documents. That's important for if you need to take pictures of the vehicle. There's a bunch of other information here too. If you're doing, maybe they have an
I want to
office as
interrupt
well as
real fast just because I really like the photo function here. Like the
yes,
we one of the things we talk about in the course, and we go in a lot of detail in several different ways to do this, but one of the this is like saying, yes, we're in the detailing business, but really you're in the customer service, customer relationship business. Like at the fundamental level,
100%.
that has so much to do with how your detailing business does long term. And when you can actually keep track, not just of the customer information, but of the detail information. Oh, and by the way, Sean, I also want you to touch on again later, there's so many things, but how this integrates with Carfax and keeping up with all of the details and all that sort of stuff, because that's a huge deal. But I just want to say,
Absolutely.
keeping track and keeping a log of photos of people's vehicles. Like let's say there's 3 particular problem areas where the carpet here is ripped up, the paint here is scratched, and the chrome here, the clear coat is starting to flake off of it. And you keep a log of all of that there. Like talk about maximizing your ability to communicate pre-detail to maximize expectations post-detail. Anyway, I'm just talking because it excites me to hear about all this, but keep going.
Absolutely. No, I agree completely. And on that note too, you can actually do this per job as well. So this is the overall files and documents, for example, and you're building the whole customer history, right? Because eventually you're going to get to a point where, in the beginning, if you have a small customer list, it may seem easy, like, oh, I could keep track of the important information in Excel sheet or something like that. That may be true in the beginning. But my shop, for example, in 2 years, we've got almost 6,000 customers now. It's nearly impossible. We could not keep track of all the important information for each person in that time frame. So even things like the journal, we use this a lot. If someone comes in and they're like, "Oh, sorry about the pet hair. You know, my pet dog Cuddles was in there, and there's just hair all over the back." We'll literally go to their profile and we'll be like, "Has a pet dog named Cuddles." And we'll literally save that in there as a journal entry so that next time they're booking with us, we'll go check the journal and we'll be like, "Oh, you're booking. Did you want to add the pet hair removal? Because I remember you had your dog Cuddles in there last time." Right? And the customer right away is like, "Wow, you remembered my dog's name. That's amazing." So that whole personable thing, they're never going to another detail shop. Even if we made a mistake, they're not leaving because they know, like, geez, these guys actually care about me as a human being. I'm not just a number. They care about my vehicle. They care about my life. And it really helps with the whole sales process, building that whole relationship, transference of feeling. You can upsell them almost anything at that point because they trust you, they believe in you, and
And
so
it's just
that
such
that
a
really helps a
different
lot.
feel. It's such a different feel of professionalism. Again, I'm hitting on this area of the detailing industry where 99% of people lag behind. So all you have to do is get in order these small things, and it by default puts you in the 1% of detailers. And if you approached your customer and you have a list on your phone of photos from 6 months ago where you say, "Hey, this issue, and this issue exists. I don't imagine this being fixed when I come here this time, but I just wanted to make sure I recommunicated that and made you aware of that." Does that make sense, Linda? Like that kind of thing is so, it's just,
100%.
it's so powerful.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I love that kind of stuff, and so do the customers. Absolutely, and that's where even things like this, like location and address, we put in their primary address, but we'll put in their office or something like that if we did a job at a different location. Then when they call in and we say, "Okay, great, and is this one going to be at your primary address, or is it at your office located at 155 Spark Street?" And they're like, "Oh geez, like they remembered my address and everything." Like it's just so powerful when you collect this information from customers. So any chance you get to log it, that's hugely important. And when it comes to the photos, as you mentioned, you can actually do that per job. So when you're on a job, for example, like this one here, I click on my calendar. I'll just click one at random here. You can actually go down to photos, and if you click that, it's going to open up and it's going to ask you for either just job photos, and these will be just you just upload whatever random job photos, but you can also do before and after photos, and they'll actually appear with a slider, which is pretty cool. So we have them copied over on our website, some stuff we've done. So like here's a headlight restoration, for example, and then you slide it like that and you can show the before and after. It's hugely powerful. And this here in OrbisX, when you upload that as a before and after, it gives you a link, and you're able to, as you can see here, copy customer view link. You can copy this and send it to your customer as well, so they can actually see the job that you did, and they'll see like, "Oh geez, like look, that's amazing what they've done." They're so happy. You no longer have to justify your results, because when they see the clean final product, they might be like, "Okay, yeah, but maybe they thought it wasn't that bad before." When you can show them and you can say, "Look, like this is what you brought us before, and look what we've done to it," it really creates that wow factor. And I'm telling you, we've got so many 5-star reviews just from them having seen that, the transformation. They're like, "Geez, thank you for showing me that." They're so happy. They show their friends, they send it to people. It's pretty amazing actually, and you get a lot of referral work because it speaks for itself at that point, right? So these are all part of the customer profile because it has to deal with their appointments. So uploading, photos to an appointment, or uploading photos in general, as you were saying, Luke, where you could say like, "Geez, I know you had that little scratch there and you didn't have time to fix it last time, but if you still have that scratch, we could take care of that for you this appointment," and you're going to increase your ticket sales just from that alone.
And
So
the other thing worth mentioning here is that you can see, guys, how a lot of this is super intuitive. And when you're clicking, the clients tab at the top, and you're going to go log the customer information, you can see how it just kind of flows from, name, email, number, address, photos, car, make, and model. All these things are very intuitive. So it doesn't take a total genius to learn how to navigate some of this stuff. But the point is, the other thing that's worth mentioning here is that softwares like this, as you can tell, there are going to always be a lot more things you could do that you're not going to
Sure.
use this for. Like you're just not going to tap into the fullness of what this offers because once again, let's say you don't have an email list that's 10,000 people long. Well, you're not going to import the MailChimp into, contacts into this software, even though that is something it's offered here. And sometimes people get a little overwhelmed by the amount that's offered by a software like this. And so they're like, oh, I'm just not going to tap into it at all. But hopefully you guys can see from this video, and that's kind of the goal, is the high order bit of here's the fundamental stuff you guys are going to need to be doing and how it will serve you so well in the immediate as well as long term. So I just want to kind of reiterate, don't let the vast array of what you could do with a technology like this stop you from doing the very simple things, even though
Sure.
it's kind of a shallow way to use it because there's so much here. Just use the simple things, the straight up things that you're starting with, because that's all you might need in the beginning, and make sure you're incorporating this because once again, you're going to look back in a year, and if you didn't, you're going to really wish you had.
Yeah, 100%. And the key part too is like this software was built not for building a software. It was built as a tool to solve problems that we've had in our own detailing business. And the reason that's important is that when I first started our shop, we only offered detailing. We didn't do tinting, we didn't do windshields, we didn't do this and that. And there's a good chance that a lot of you guys might not do that at any point, and that's fine. But we didn't even offer ceramic coating at one time, and then we started to, and we wanted to keep track of our own internal warranties, for example. So the warranties tab, you might not use that today. Let's say you don't do ceramic coating. You might only, do detailing, and that's fine. And that means you're probably not going to use the warranty system because what would you offer as a warranty on a interior cleaning or something, right? Maybe you've found something and that's great, but that system is there because as you grow and scale your business, these kinds of tools might become important. And so, Luke, further to your point, you're absolutely right, is that focus on the key elements that are going to be there for your business, and you can literally ignore some of the others that you might not need today, but eventually you will need these pieces for one way or the other. And knowing that, okay, this software is going to grow with my business and my business is going to grow with the software, that's the key takeaway here, is that you're not going to have to worry that, okay, well, I'm going to start with this system because it's really simple, but then as my business grows, now I have to find a way to get all my stuff out of there and relearn this new software. This way you're literally starting with the best tool on the market from day one. So it's the perfect opportunity to start with what you're using. Like there's a full wait list, and maybe your shop or your mobile business isn't busy enough for a wait list right now, and that's fine, or maybe it is, but knowing that that's there for the future is going to help immensely once you do get too busy and you start having people say, well, I really wanted to book for Tuesday. Well, I'm sorry, ma'am, unfortunately, I'm busy Tuesday. But if you want to hop on our wait list, and that way, if we have a no-show or a cancellation, you'll automatically be notified, and then we can get you booked in. Those kinds of tools are going to come in really handy. They're going to be invaluable as your business grows.
And
And that's
I'll
the whole
say
goal
this
here.
as well, the what you're going to begin to see over time. I actually love that you said this, Sean. You said this software wasn't built to be like some sort of like cash cow for you. This software was built to solve problems for detailers, which is why, I think I said this to you guys, maybe you didn't hear, but I actually turned down a deal with another technology company who was asking me to come on board for like 2 months and do some advertising for them, and they were offering a relatively large amount of money, and I said no to them so that I could try to work with Sean and actually do what we're doing
Absolutely.
now, because this software was, again, it was built for detailers, and I think it's the best there is. So that's why we're doing this right now. But what I wanted to say here was, as you move forward in your business and as you move forward in the program, what you're going to find is that uh, acquiring customer or potential customer information is 50% of the game. And that is why this becomes so useful, because at any point, at any direction, at any avenue, in any way, you can grab potential customer information, meaning emails, phone numbers, things like that, names. You don't understand the kind of dividends that is going to pay long term. So anyway, moving from that, Sean, I know we're like rabbit, or we're going down different rabbit holes and bouncing around. I want to make sure we talk about the review strategies, the Google business page, what your software does to ensure those positive ones come in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure, absolutely. And just real quick before I jump into that, for the data side of things, getting a whole perspective on your business with reports is really going to help. So collecting that data, if you don't put the data in, the system can only give you reports on what it has available, right? So there's things like this here, the client leaderboard, for example. You can click that and you'll be able to see in a snapshot who's spending the most with you, and it'll rank them. It'll say gold, silver, bronze, and it'll tell you who they are, how much they spent, and then it'll give you the also the top 20 list, right? And it'll, color code the top 10 and then color code the rest of them. So things like that, seeing who's booking the most appointments and also who's costing you the most. So when you assign an expense to a customer, it's going to show you like, okay, great. So maybe my top spender, Central City Auto, great, but maybe they're also my most expensive customer too. So this kind of insight into your business is so invaluable, and it's going to make or break your business in a lot of cases too, whether it's profitable or not. And that's where, just before I jump into the reviews, under reports, we also have daily and weekly reports that get sent to you, the progress reports, and those are huge. So I'll click on progress reports because these are going to be sent to you daily, and it's going to tell you things like how many new leads you got, new clients, today's bookings, how many no-shows, bookings added. When your business is starting out or it's in its infancy, these numbers aren't really going to play a huge role because you're going to be very aware of what's going on. But as your business grows, maybe you take on, new employees, or like myself, for example, we've got 8 full-time guys and 4 part-time. It's impossible for me to know, like I have a dedicated guy just to book jobs because our business grew so much. It's almost impossible for me to know at a glance how the business is doing. So this is kind of like checking the pulse of the business. So I have my daily ones and then my weekly ones, and it's going to tell me, so if I click on weekly, it's going to say how many new bookings were added. Like I said, these numbers, this is a demo account, but it'll say, how many dollars were booked this week, how many new invoices were sent out, expenses, gift certificates sold, so on and so forth. That kind of information, it's literally checking the health of your business, and it all comes from putting in the information. So save your clients, put in the info, and you're going to start to see how your business progresses and make better decisions with your marketing, decisions on what kind of deals you can offer, so on and so forth. Now, with that comes building trust and getting new customers. And that has a lot to do with reviews. That was my little segue into the reviews. So setting up the reviews is a piece of cake. And how the reviews work is it's not just a, hey, thanks for your service, please leave us a review, because that could go all different kinds of ways. What this system does, and it's unique compared to any other service or software that's out there, is it asks for a review, but in a very specific way to pretty much guarantee that you get only 5-star reviews. So all you have to do is go into settings under the general tab, the first tab that's there. You're going to look for this here, the Google review link. You're going to find that from your Google review page. Now, if you're not using Google My Business, I strongly encourage you to set up an account. It is free.
Everybody's using Google My Business here. They may not be using
I
it
love it.
yet. But the further they get into the program, much of the program is built with Google My Business being kind of the
Beautiful.
epicenter of your online presence. So if the Google review link that he's talking about right here doesn't make sense to you, it's okay. It's going to make sense as you move forward in phase 3 of the program. So don't get caught up on that. You can get that very easily. It's just the link that people click on in order to leave a review on your Google Business page.
Absolutely. Now, I know this is going to be giving away some of my info in one capacity, but it also helps to show that it is real. Luke, would you mind if I just logged into my Google My Business on the webcast? Do you mind?
Oh, please. Yeah, your screen is shared. So
Okay, perfect. So
yeah,
as long as long as no one minds, don't steal my info, I guess. I don't know.
yeah, if you steal his info, we will come after you. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Google My Business. So exactly. So you just go to Google My Business in Google, or the direct link if you want, and then I'll show you. We've got a few companies, but I'll click on the Auto World one, of course. Sign in. So this is obviously going to be my real data, so you can see, this is my auto shop here. So we'll click that. This helps because then you can see, like, I'm going to show you, I have 550 plus 5-star reviews. So it's kind of a confusing dashboard in one aspect if you're just looking for one key piece of info, but if you just scroll down, you're looking for your reviews section. So here's where you can see my existing reviews right now. So 557 reviews, 4.8 rating. Now, what I'm looking for, though, I just want to show you where you can get that link for the reviews. share review form. So look for this little box, get more reviews. If you click your share review form, it's going to pop up and it's going to show you this link. This is the link you want to copy, and that's what you're going to paste. I'll go back to the settings. That's what you want to paste here, Google review link. You want to paste that here. Now what's going to happen is the system's going to send out a message to the customer, and it's going to wait. It gives kind of a cooling off period after the job, and then it sends them the review link. So it's not immediately after, because sometimes there's an issue that happens that you need to deal with. So it does give a little bit of time to allow for that, and it sends them a thumbs up and a thumbs down. And if they click the thumbs up, it takes them to your Google review page. So it takes them to this link that appears here. If they click the thumbs down, instead of going here to leave you a negative review, it takes them to a web form where it asks them for your feedback. And it says, hey, listen, like, sorry, things didn't go as planned. Sometimes mistakes happen. Please tell us what went wrong so we can make it right. And that way it, A, avoids a negative review being out there publicly, and B, it also gives you the opportunity to make it right with that customer, and you could actually turn that situation around more times than not and turn it into a 5-star review online. Now, the other key component here is with reviews. I'll click on the calendar for a second because there's two things with that as well. Number one, it only sends out the jobs that have been marked complete, which makes sense because if it's not finished, why ask for a review yet? The other thing, and I'll click to edit this job, for example, is that you can actually disable feedback. Sometimes maybe you're working on a job and you just get this weird vibe about the customer. They were asking weird questions that lead you to think they're going to leave a negative review. You can actually disable feedback request on a per job basis. And that way it just won't ask them for the review, because maybe you got a bad feeling, or maybe something was going wrong and you just got a bad feeling, and it's just better, don't even ask them for the review. And then that way you just disable it completely. So the system's designed to promote positive reviews. And now at my shop, so as you can see, we got a lot of positive reviews. Obviously, here I'll click manage reviews. So loads of 5-star reviews. But the thing is, wait, did I not reply to that one? I'll deal with that after. I reply to all reviews. But the whole thing is, the reason we have so many, and how do I get back to my main list? The reason we have so many positive reviews is in part because we do amazing work. So as you can see here, mostly 5s, and then the occasional 4-star. But we literally have over 500 5-star reviews. The reason is because, in part, to our great work ethic and the quality work we do, but also because the way that the system asks for reviews. We disable feedback requests on jobs that we just get a funny vibe from, and we know, like, this could probably be a problem, and then we just deal with that as an internal review. We talk to the customer after, like, how were things, was everything up to your satisfaction? How can we fix anything that was wrong? But then also by the thumbs up and thumbs down, that's going to help a lot, because if they click thumbs down, instead of going to Google and leaving a bad review, they can leave you some feedback and you can actually take action. So that's essentially how the
So guys,
reviews.
this is a huge deal. It's gonna be hard to overstate what a big addition this is, and will continue to be for your business. But reviews in a service-based business, in many ways, are what you live and die by, and they're also something that, generally speaking, are relatively outside of your control. And what I mean by outside of your control, I mean the specific feedback you're getting. You can try to control some of whether or not you're getting good reviews or bad reviews, but the point is, what the software just did is it just put a filter with the incoming reviews. So this is just genius, because I was also just thinking just now, we should set up, maybe this is unethical. I was like, we should set up a fake page where when people leave a thumbs down, it sends them to that fake page and says, would you like to leave a review? And it's not public and nobody can see it. But anyway,
Yep.
that way they feel like they're getting, their piece said, but no one's gonna ever see it. But the point is, I wish we had a control group and a test group where we could test the types of positive to negative review ratio done when using the software versus people who don't use the software. So just to give you guys one quick example, I think I only got one negative review publicly from a guy, even though I actually stopped trying to garner reviews because I had basically
Mm.
hit capacity in my detailing business and couldn't take any more customers. So I was like, I need to stop doing local marketing. But anyway, the guy actually left a negative review because it was a day when somebody actually rear-ended me and I got in a car accident on the way to his house. So I was unable
Ooh.
to make it there because of all the police report and whatnot, and all this sort of stuff happened. And then he still actually left a negative review with that stuff. So my point is, there are times where you are just dealing with, like Sean said, strange people that you're like, okay, this is just outside of my control and it is going to hurt my business and I can't do anything about it. And this in many ways fixes that problem and just begins that exponential increase upwards. So really, really cool.
Absolutely, absolutely. And same thing happens with us. There's the odd time that something happens. And sometimes, I mean, people can still go to your profile and leave a negative review. Like we can't stop that obviously, but we do the bulk of the defense is by, when you're asking for a review, redirecting where they go, whereas other softwares, other systems, they'll just ask for a review, period. But it's almost encouraging. Like maybe someone had a not so great experience, but they kind of forgot about it. By prompting for a review, if they just click and it goes right to your Google page, well, they're going to just leave their experience, whatever, good or bad. So this filters that out, and it is huge, absolutely.
Totally,
And I mean, we
totally.
still get the occasional person too. Yeah, go ahead.
Right, right, right. Yeah. So of course you can't eliminate all of it because some people are just like, I am going to screw this guy, and
Exactly.
there's nothing you can do about it. But Sean, that being said, unless there's anything like dire that just must be said tonight, we're approaching the hour, and I did want to open up just a few minutes for people to ask some specific
Sure.
questions if they have them really quickly. Is that okay?
hmm That's
Okay,
perfect. Yep, absolutely.
great. So guys, we're going to give it a second. Please put your questions in the question box. I can see it, and so can I think Sean, you can as well. But I
I had the
can.
thing minimized so I could see. Hold on, let me see here.
Yeah, you're all right.
Questions.
Yeah, you can click the little questions tab, and you can
Okay.
shop. You can stop sharing your screen if you want to. They
It
can't
might
see.
help though if I'm answering questions to
Oh yeah, you're
show
right.
something.
No,
Yeah,
that's a
just in
good
case.
point. That's a good
For
point.
some
We
reason,
might not have
the
a lot
questions
of
are
questions. So for you guys who do, please put them in the question box. If you don't, it's okay. The first question here, Sean just says, I tried to upload my logo and got a message saying the file was too big. And the site got locked up. I think I can probably answer this, but Sean, you can add if you want to. Josh, there are certain, no matter where you are, no matter what software, for all of eternity, you're going to have to resize your logo or whatever picture you're uploading if it's too big so that it can basically download the size of the file. And if it's too big, you just need to adjust the size. When you click on the picture, you can adjust the size in the settings, and that's probably going to fix it. But I would just like exit out and resize the photo and do that again. But Sean, you can add to that if you
yeah.
want.
Absolutely, I agree. And what I can do for you too, Josh, is send a message to me. I'll resize it for you even. The big reason that would be important as well is because when you upload your logo, it does replace the logo here in the system for you, just for your account. But if it's too big, what's going to happen is every time you try and load the page, it's going to load that large file as well. So you don't want it to slow down your use when you're using the application. And then also when it goes on to your PDFs, for example, like if I click into an invoice here, for example, I'll just click one here. And then if I go to save this as a PDF by clicking on the PDF button, it'll actually take your logo and put it on the PDF. And then when you send that to a customer, if it's too big, it might, get bounced back from their email or something like that. So it's part of the reason why it should be smaller. But I can help you out with that if you don't have like a photo editing program or something. Just send it over to me. I'll do it for you, no problem.
Okay, and Jesse just asked, is there an option to take a deposit that will go towards the invoice when scheduling the appointment? I imagine Jesse's asking like
Yes.
somebody cancels a lot and you say, hey, I take a $25 deposit Thursday, even though I'm only charging you $100, I'll take 25 now, you can pay the 75 later. Is that an option?
Yes, absolutely. And so on this, I'm glad I have the invoice up. So on this invoice, for example, there's two options here: payment link and then deposit link. So if you just click deposit link, it copies that link, and then I can send it to them by email or messenger or however they message me. The other thing too is that when I click save and send, it'll actually email the deposit to them. And the system's smart so that if, let's say, there's been no payments on the invoice, it'll send the deposit link first. After they've paid the deposit, the next time you save and send, it's going to actually send them the full payment link, which makes sense because they just need to pay the balance. Now, for deposits, two different options. So I went under settings, so admin and then settings and options. Most things are found under there. And then under invoices and payments, this is where there's a few options here, different things for invoices. One of them though is you can set your deposit amount, and you have two options, deposit type. So there's percentage and dollar amount. So right now it shows percentage here, but if I change that to dollar amount, it'll switch it to dollars. So you could maybe you do a flat rate, $50 for every deposit. Then what you want is deposit type set to dollar amount. If let's say you do a percentage, then you could set that to percentage and then change that to 10% or whatever it happens to be, and the system will automatically calculate that for you.
And
Now,
Sean, is
yep,
there a support? Is there a support email that I can put in the chat that you have specifically?
yep, absolutely. So if they send it just to the info at orbisx.ca,
Okay, great. And I'm going to put
I
that in
can
there. And
type
then
that
also, guys, so info at orbisx.ca. I'm sending that to everybody in the question boxes right now in the chat. But I
out.
also want to say that there's a guy in the Facebook group, the private Facebook group named Aaron, and he can help answer your questions as well. That's just because I'm looking at Josh. You said we can't sign in. I'm not sure exactly what you mean, meaning you don't have the sign in details or you don't know how to sign in. But you can send me a message as well at support@wilsonautodetailing.com, and I can help you out with that as far as getting you the link to get your free subscription. Brian said, is there a limit on how many photos you can add for a client?
A million, I think. No, I'm just kidding. There's no limit.
Perfect. Okay,
No,
Chastity
no
said,
limit.
go ahead.
Being said, just real quick on that note, one thing that is important is that the file name itself does matter. If you're going to upload a lot of photos, it's a good idea to rename the file before you upload it, because it does display the file name. So if you, let's say you're uploading files from a long time, then that can be important. Something that is getting added is going to be the ability to rename files on the fly, but it's not in there yet. So if you are going to upload 50 photos, it'd be a good idea to maybe just label them before you upload them so you know what they are.
Yeah, and just make sure there's not like anything profane if it's being displayed, because that would be if you're showing that to your customer. um,
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah. Okay. So Chastity said, is there a way to send invoices via text? We tested sending a text to a client and they never received the text. Do we do something else?
Okay, so with texting for invoices, it's not necessarily it can be done, yes, if you've set up Twilio. So you do have to set up Twilio for text messaging. And Luke, that's what we talked about before, where we're going to post a link to a video on how to set up Twilio,
Yeah.
so that you can send text messages. So by default, emails are included with the system. Text messages, you have to actually go through a little different process because it does involve getting a phone number that has your local area code. So
And
we've partnered up with.
I would
Go
add to
ahead.
that, Chastity, that when you're sending invoices in the first place, just generally speaking, just from like a kind of fundamental professionalism point of view, generally invoices are sent via email in pretty much anything you're doing. It's not like, I'm not saying it's the strangest thing in the world to text an invoice, but it is. Another way to look at it is, you want to make sure you also have that piece of information, being the email address from the customer. And if you don't already have it,
Sure.
this is a great way to get it. Hey, can you send me your email so I can send you this invoice via email? But Sean is going down a road that I actually don't want to go down, just because the Twilio is not what we want to talk about tonight. There is an integration that you guys are going to figure. It's going to be very, very simple for you to integrate how to do exactly what you're asking with the software. It just has an outside piece that has to be added. And
And
it
there's
just,
a 5-minute video on it
yeah,
already, so we can
exactly.
send that over.
So
Yeah.
we'll put that
And
to
to
bed.
touch on that note too, Luke, is
Go
that
ahead.
the other reason for it to be sent by email, it's better too, is because it's easier for customers to search their email and find something in the past versus if it's text. And a
Yes.
lot of carrier providers also end up blocking numbers from sending messages if they're deemed as spam or phishing. And they usually deem that if it's like asking for payments or things like that. It's once again, the hackers out there in the world kind of ruined it for all of us business owners, but
Right.
it is a concern that's out there. So you want to make sure that you maintain the reputation kind of your phone number.
Yes.
So that's where like Twilio, they're not huge fans of sending that kind of stuff by text, but it is possible. But like Luke said, it's better if you get their email as well.
Sure, sure. Okay. Bobby said, would this conflict with Mobile Tech RX with dent repair? So, Bobby, I believe you also run a dent repair business. And when you're asking, would it conflict with Mobile Tech RX? I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, but Sean, to answer this question simply, I think probably the easiest way to say it is you could have the OrbisX software for your detailing business and continue the Mobile Tech RX with your dent repair if you'd like to use both of them. But Sean, I'll defer to you. Let's say that Bobby wants to use dent repair and his detailing business under OrbisX. Would that be something that's possible?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like it's similar to how my shop, for example, we do all different kinds of services under one. So we manage our mobile guys that do windshield stuff through here. And then we also do our detailing, tinting, everything like that through the same platform as well. And if there
Okay.
are any specific features that you would want for like, dent repair kind of thing, that this would be a great discussion that we could have, absolutely, because the system is always ongoing with development as well. So that's something we can add in there for you if there's some specific feature.
Fantastic. Okay. Zach said, Sean, while you were going over the calendar earlier, there were different times on the bottoms of each day. And some days would say 1 day, 3 hours, 20 minutes. What was that referring to?
Okay, sure. And good question. So here, for example, this number here is, can they see the mouse? I don't know. Can you see the mouse, Luke? I don't know if you can see my mouse moving or
Yeah,
you
sorry,
only
I
see when I
muted
click
myself.
something.
Yeah, I can
Oh,
see the
sorry.
mouse.
Okay, perfect. So okay, good, good. Because I'm like scrolling by the number, but I wasn't sure if my mouse was showing up.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
okay, so the calendar is designed to give you kind of a snapshot of what's going on. The reason for this to say like 4 days and this one says 3 hours is because that's the amount of time that's booked up for the jobs on that particular day. So you can give yourself a duration. They don't mean anything per se in terms of like it's more just to give yourself a ballpark of how much time you've booked up in that time frame. Now, the reason this one's 4 days is because there's a job here that expands multiple days. So you can see here, this one goes from the 5th all the way to the 9th. So that's why it's showing up as 4 days. So it's showing that you've got 4 days of work booked up today. Now, if you were to, let's say, put 8 guys on it, like in my shop, if we put our whole team on one job, we could bang this out in one day. But it's just showing you the time frame of what's booked up starting on that day, right?
And
So
Sean, can you adjust in the software? Like, let's say that it says that for an interior detail for a simple Toyota Camry for me is going to take 6 hours. Can I adjust that and say, no, this is only going to take me 3 hours?
Oh, absolutely. Everything's fully customizable. So that's what's pretty cool is here, I'll show you real quick when you book an appointment, is that you can actually change the duration because even if, let's say you do it by packages, a lot of detail shops do things by packages, and we'll just say the gold package, for example. So the gold package is usually 2 hours. But let's say you've looked at the customer's car and you're like, geez, this is actually going to take me a lot longer. You can change the time required. So you could say this is going to take me 5 hours, or you can go all the way up to 30 days because some of our clients they detail boats, things like that take multiple days or RVs. But let's say it usually takes 2 hours, and you put down it's going to take 4 hours. That's going to just add the 4 hours to your calendar, but then it's also going to tell the customer an approximation. So it's really good to have this, give yourself a little bit of leeway, little time, and it'll send to the customer and say, your appointment's going to be approximately 4 hours and 30 minutes. Now, that being said,
That's awesome.
oh, absolutely. And all of those messages can be adjusted as well under your admin. That one's not on admin settings. Here, I'm jumping around here just because I want to get to that section. But under your settings and options is usually where you find most things. And you have this here, mail and SMS templates, and you can fully customize all your templates. So for example, new booking notices. And so you can use variables. So that one variable I refer to as duration. So that's where you could put that in, and we give examples. So your appointment for service has been booked on event date, event time. Your appointment will be approximately, and then the duration. So it's going to take that duration here, 4 hours, 30 minutes, and it's going to plug that into this variable. So when it sends to the customer, it'll take whatever you've set in the appointment and send it to them. So that's where it's pretty cool, and it's very customizable because every job is going to be slightly unique, right? So that's where you need that option where it's not hard coded. You can change
Right,
it to
right.
whatever it's going to be. Yep.
Very good. Okay. Jim said, do you have to put the client's information in while you're talking to them, or are you able to put it in after? I'm going to answer that very simply. Yes, you can put it in after, you can put it in during, you can do whatever you want.
Absolutely.
Alan said, can this software process payments? Okay, before you answer that, um, Sean, let's make this the last question you answer tonight because we're 10 minutes over the hour. Guys, please
Sure.
don't be hurt or mad at me that I'm cutting it off. We have 2 more hour-long or more videos to do next Sunday night and the following Sunday night, unless anything crazy happens and an earthquake happens in Tennessee, which has never happened before, and we have to reschedule. And please hold your questions so that they can be answered. I'm actually anticipating that maybe on either next week or even the third week, we're actually going to have a seriously extended time of Q&A because there's not too much left to talk about. So if you have a question, you can either send it to the support email or you can keep it and we can talk about it then. But Sean, can you please talk about Canvas software process payments?
Yes, absolutely, and agreed. And those next webinars will definitely be more extensive. We can answer more questions, things like that. And also, like I said, with the email, send me emails. I usually answer 24 hours a day. Luke can attest to that. I'm available,
Definitely.
put it that way, and happy to help. I love the community. So yes, it can process payments. We integrate with Stripe. Stripe seemed to be the best one. I know there's other options out there. Without mentioning other, payment provider names, Stripe seemed to be the one to go with, mainly because they're not just the largest, but they handle a lot of things for you that, as a business owner, are important, such as the fraud detection. So they help with things like chargebacks. They're so big that they're used by Amazon, Uber, Facebook. Like, they're the payment system for the leading companies in the world. And the reason is they have things like this technology they call radar, which determines, if a card is fraudulent or been used as fraud before, things like that. And that protects you as a business owner. If there's ever a chargeback, something like that, it puts more power into your business to fight those kind of situations. They are also PCI compliant, as well as OrbisX is PCI compliant. And what that means is that we have warranties and insurance against online fraud that you don't have to worry about as a business owner. So we are fully PCI compliant. The customer's information is never stored in the system. We generate these things called tokens that's sent to Stripe. So it's a little peace of mind, a layer of peace of mind for your client. You can tell them, listen, if you're worried about processing payments, the software we use is PCI compliant. If you want, I can send you a whole spiel that you could give to them if ever someone asks. And that way they know their data is safe and they feel comfortable and they have that trust to process payments. So I'll click on admin, I'll go to settings and options, and I'll show you under the integrations tab where you would put in your Stripe information. Stripe, the accounts are free. Sign up takes maybe 5-10 minutes, and the money goes right into your bank account. So Stripe is pretty awesome, and the integration is really simple as well. So what I did is I went to admin, then settings and options, and then under here I went to integrations. Then you're going to see several integrations. I'll just show you all the other ones because there's that Carfax that you asked me about, Luke. But so what you're looking for is Stripe, and you need these things called API keys. You have to paste them in. There's 4 of them. You need your test ones, and then you also need your live ones. And there's a little thing here, where are my API keys? After you've signed up, you can click this link and it'll take you to the exact page where your API keys are.
And
Simply
let me
paste
just
them here.
interrupt really fast because I know some people are listening to this and they're like, API key, secret key, publishable key. Where are
Sure.
all these keys on my key ring? And it's like overwhelming you because of all of this technical information. Please don't be overwhelmed by like this technical information. This is stuff that is super easy. You could literally, with a Google search, or even Stripe will literally give you step 1, step 2, step 3, tell you exactly what you're going to see, exactly how you're going to see it, exactly what to copy, exactly what to paste, where. It's very, very simple. Don't let the language overwhelm you. And in addition to that, I will say Stripe is what I would say as well is the best payment processor. The only thing being, and Sean, you might be able to answer this, the only thing being is the external card processor, meaning like the hardware for the card processor. I don't know if Stripe offers one of those, but again, we're talking about no need for that because you're invoicing customers over email, and I think that's the best way to do it anyways. But anyway, I'm just saying Stripe is what I use as well in my business. Sean uses it, so it's a very, very easy thing to use.
Yeah, absolutely. And they do, in fact, have a terminal. and it does integrate with OrbisX as well, which is awesome.
Boom.
So yeah, which is it's like boom, done deal. And if you're wondering how to set it up exactly, you can click this here where it says tip number 6. It's part of the training videos. If you click that, I'll just open it in a new window real quick. But oh, page not found. I'm gonna have to fix that. But sorry. Okay, that link is not working because it's trying to add a little piece. I'll have that link fixed by the time this webinar is done. It's supposed to take you to this page, and then tip number 6 is taking payments. And if you click that video, you're going to hear my voice walking you through basically how to set up Stripe and everything like that. I think the connection is a little slow for me because of the video as well. It's like video and a video of a video. But anyway, this is the video you want, number 6. And that's going to take you through. I'll have that link fixed after this webinar. And then just make sure it's set to live mode, because if it's on test, it's going to do test payments. And just to show you real quick, I'll click on an invoice and I'll show you how you would access the terminal side. So from your invoice list, you can click this one here and it'll do an online payment where you actually enter in the card number. Or this one here, if you click this, it'll open up the terminal. So if I click the terminal, it's going to look for readers. And unfortunately, I don't have anything connected to this device, of course. But it'll search for the readers that you have with Stripe, and then you can, tap, dip, swipe, whatever with the card like normal. And that will also show up on the invoice as well. If I click view, so I'm viewing an invoice, you'll see here it says Stripe Terminal. So you can pay online, and that'll just pull you over to a payment form that looks like this once it loads. And I think because I got like 50 windows open. There we go. So it'll say collect an online payment. And this is where if there's a card on file, you can charge it or you can enter in a new card. But in this case, what we want is the terminal. So that's where you would click on the terminal and it's going to bring you to that page where it's searching for new readers that I showed you before. There's nothing plugged in here. And then you can also mark an offline payment as well. So if I click offline payment, and then this is where it's just going to ask me for, how they paid. Maybe they paid by check. So I can put in that with the notes and then click save. So there's lots of different ways to mark payments. It does integrate with online payments. Stripe is the preferred one, and that'll work with deposits as well as full payments as well. And then it'll show up in your payments list, and it'll actually mark off the transaction number and all that kind of stuff as well.
And Sean, I thought we might also answer this really quickly because just put some people at ease. But Jesse asked, I got a message yesterday saying that hackers were getting into the system or something like that. Is that an issue at all? Could customer information or our information be at risk or be accessed by them in some sort of way? Could you give the context for that?
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, great question. So yesterday we had a little issue with the server network that we were on, and it wasn't with our website or our app in particular. It was we were part of a network that was basically sharing server resources, and one of the customers on that network was going through what's called a DDoS attack. So it's a denial of service attack, and that was impacting the accessibility of our app for periods of time. Like, there was 10 minutes where it just wasn't accessible. And so as a result, we realized that we didn't want to be on that network at all because not that our data was at risk, but the accessibility of the app itself. We just didn't want to be at the mercy of, someone else's network. So we were in a sharing agreement before. And what we did yesterday is we made the switch, and that's where we put the site down for maintenance for a few hours, let everybody know in advance, and we said, this is what's going on, so you can expect that there's going to be downtime for a couple hours while we make the switch. So now we're on our own servers, our own server farm, and we have that backed up in 3 different locations. So there's 3 different locations, 1 in Europe and then 2 in North America. So your data is backed up in 3 different locations. It's called a redundant backup. And then we also do, without getting too technical, I'm trying not to
Yeah,
get
I
too
think
technical,
honestly,
but
I think that
yeah,
explanation is probably sufficient. It's
sure.
I'll give you an analogy. It's like the president and the vice president and the speaker of the house flying in 3 different planes.
Yes, exactly. So everything's safe that way. That's perfect. And on that note, we bought our own plane. That's basically the gist of it too, is that instead of us, flying business class, now we bought our own
Yeah,
plane and we're
and it's a
so
Falcon 50, baby, and that thing is
yes.
going fast, 9-seater. Okay.
Exactly. And
Listen,
the important thing there, just
guys.
real quick, is that it's not so
Yeah,
much that like bad things or semi bad things can always happen in business. Always. It's that we're very forward thinking, and I'm always looking for ways that we can make OrbisX and the community as a whole even better. And so I'm not afraid to pull the trigger on, investing in technology to move forward. And you guys get the benefit as a whole because I'm the one making the investment, and it's kind of like a shared community where we all experience the benefits together.
Sure. And I'll also say this, there are times where you'll get emails from your credit card company. There's times where you'll get emails from your credit, like whatever website or company you're using to access your credit score. There's times where you'll get emails from Instagram that say, hey, this happened this morning. This is what was at risk. This is what happened to this particular data. Don't worry about it. Here's what's happening. So this is just kind of a natural part of like the world, the technical world we live in now. It's certainly
Yeah,
not something that is unique to OrbisX, and it's certainly not something where it's like all of my customers' information is at risk, even though that might be something that people worry about for obvious reasons. So just understand that you can sleep well at night, and this isn't something that you have to be like overly cautious about or something like that. Things are
absolutely.
secured and encrypted, and there's very yeah. I am not a software engineer, but the point is, even things like on Instagram, like I said, technically speaking, you could be putting things at risk by having your information there, or by swiping your credit card. There are things that are at risk because of just the world we live in now. So anyway,
Absolutely.
but again, that's not something that I don't think anybody should lose sleep over that. Mark said, thank you both for the great webinar, great information. Jesse said, I'm satisfied. I think he's trying to tell us we don't have to explain it anymore. So guys, with all of that being said, I'm gonna cut Sean off here so that he can go hang out with his family as he should. And
Thanks,
guys,
Luke.
you should go hang out with your families as well. I will be in the Facebook group and emails for the next little bit, and then of course I'll be back in there tomorrow morning. Sean, thank you so much for doing what you do and being on here. I know you don't have to, and we're very grateful. In addition to that, this is recorded and will be available for everybody else to re-listen to or listen to for the first time. And guys, please join us next Sunday at 5 p.m. Tentatively right now, I'll let you know if anything changes. Same 5 p.m. Central Time next Sunday. And we will see you guys in that next webinar.
Perfect. All right. Thank you.